day everyone. Today we'll be talking about the Canada Revolution as Britain. A wondrous little revolution that will give you a giant horde of native allied units to completely wreck your opponent's base. Also bears. You get grizzly bears too. Good for taking out artillery, and they're also good for the memes. They're a good time all around. Now, when you revolt as British Canada, you're not getting revolutionaries. Instead, your villagers are turning into Metis Pathfinders, which just means that your villagers have the same ranged attack as an H2 skirmisher now. So your villagers will be able to hold their own against raids, which is always nice. You also get the Buffalo card, which is a one-time 10% increase to your hunting and gathering, and also you get a few other cards. You get the infinite elk card, so you can keep on sending hunts. You also get the 7 Grizzlies meme card, your native embassies card that unlocks a few alliances, as well as your infinite villagers card, your Highlanders card, your fort card, and your ironclad card. Your Native Allies card will be your real moneymaker, because that gives you access to Huron Mantlets, that gives you access to Nootka, as well as Cherokee Riflemen, Cree Trackers, and Cree Courrier de Bois. This means that you're getting some free, no-pop siege units, and some free, no-pop skirmishers, which actually bleeds super well into the late game. And it gives you some breathing room against the fortification-heavy Hausa or the unit-happy Mexican civilization, because you're going to be able to get a large mass of units that you can pour down on the enemy that can also break down fortifications easily. And bears. You get bears too. Bears will help you take out artillery, and they're good for morale. As Britain, there are a lot of combos that go great with the Canadian Revolution. One combo is to spam longbowmen, and to then back those longbowmen up with native units, both the allied ones that you get from the Canadian Revolution, and also any other ones that you can find on the map by building trading posts there. You just want to get a giant avalanche of units going. Your Nootka Clubmen and your Huron Mantlets will work extra well for this combo, because clubmen act like pikemen and can counter cavalry that gets too close to protect your longbows. The Huron Mantlets work well with unit spam because they can take those shots so that your longbowmen don't have to. They can take the cannon shots, they can stop block cavalry, so if you have some Nootka Clubmen and some Huron Mantlets, it'll really help your longbowmen spam. Alternatively, if you decide to go musketeer heavy, then your Nootka and your other allied units will still be a big help, because they can siege down buildings so that you can go all in on your musketeer spam, and also the Cree Tracker and the Cherokee Riflemen will provide good skirmisher support to your obscene mass of musketeers. They'll add unit variety without adding population cost. If someone looks at a giant mass of nothing but musketeers, they're gonna say, I'm just gonna build falcons and skirms and own this noob. However, if they look at a more mixed composition, they're going to pause for a second. And if they do send out those falcons, you can soak up a lot of that damage with your Huron Mantlets, and your clubmen, well, your musketeers finish them off from behind this melee line. But redcoat spam isn't the only way to play it. You can also go ahead and make a lot of dragoons, and then have the infantry, the siege, and the skirmishers that you get complement your dragoons if you're playing a treaty game. Again, you're getting the advantage of a multi-dimensional army. If you really want to, you can also order up some Highlanders as well to go with your goons, though if you're doing a treaty game, then they're bound to have spies since everyone builds mercs in treaty games, but the important thing is that you'll be adding more variety to your composition instead of building nothing but dragoons. And if you get some native allies through trading posts, you can easily have 350 units on the field. As we know, Britain is a booming city. Normally in the late game, you would just throw giant walls of musketeers at them, maybe mix in a few heavy cannons for fun. What the Canadian Revolution gives you is options. Now, when you send that giant wall of musketeers at them, you also have the option of sending around some Huron Mantlets or some Nootka to poke a hole in their wall in an area of the map that they weren't looking at. Or you can just mass up all of your forces into a giant ball and take them with overwhelming numbers. You often see this in treaty games where it's just blob against blob and the bigger blob wins. Well, if you revolt as Canada, you gain the ability to get a pretty big blob. Because you have your units from the native embassy, your siege unit, your nuker clubmen, which acts like pikemen, you have 2 different types of skirmishers, and on top of all that you can send in grizzlies, which are pretty good for taking out enemy cannons. So I'd say that Canada is underrated. You're good at taking out buildings, and they let you create a giant swarm at the end of the game that's pretty strong. I mean, there are a few things to consider. For instance, well, your native units may be pot free. At the end of the game, once you've already taken all of the wood off of the map, you are going to have to use gold to buy wood so that you can train those native units, which does make them a bit expensive once you price out wood to gold. However, by that point in the game, you're going to have plenty of gold to spare, because you're Britain. You're great at booming. You also need to remember that none of the units that you get as Canada are really world beaters. I mean, you have Grizzlies, which can take out Cassadors or Covrans, but they can get shredded if they're not supported by other units. Also, your skirmishers aren't the best in class. Your Euron Mountlet is a great damage sponge, but if you try and set it up against a massive, like, Landsknechts, they're gonna get shredded. So, well, the native allies that you can train in Canada are very useful, and, well, the Highlanders that you can get via Canada are very useful. You can't forget about Britain's strengths when you're doing this. You have to remember that Britain has good dragoons, Britain has good musketeers, Britain has good longbowmen. So you're going to have to rely on them to carry you to victory, and the allied units and the Bears and the Highlanders are just there to push you along and give you that little extra edge that you need to win. And with Mexico tearing up the ladder and just completely destroying a lot of its opponents, you need every edge you can get, especially in treaty games as things go on. You don't want to be going against Maya with nothing but a bunch of musketeers and 4 heavy cannons as your only hope. If you're going to go against opponents that can spam unique units at you, you need to have your own edge. And if you want overwhelming numbers to crush the competition, then I strongly recommend going Canada as your revolution. Now, good luck out there, have fun, and remember, Grizzlies kill artillery.